Okay, this is chapter 22 of Controlled Burn. The old radio communicator crackled to life. Howard? A voice asked. This is his granddaughter, Maya, I said breathlessly. I saw smoke. Grandpa and our dog are out in the woods, and I saw smoke. There was a short pause, probably while someone tried to figure out why a kid was on the other end of their radio. But there wasn't time for pauses. I knew all too well that seconds and minutes would mean everything in a situation like this. Hello? Got it, Maya, the voice said. Where did you see the smoke? Can you describe the location? Thanks to Grandpa's lesson in compass skills, I was pretty confident about which direction was which from each side of the old fire tower. Just east of the trail that leads down the highway from the fire lookout, I told the person on the other end. About halfway between the tower and the road. Again, a pause. This time, I hoped they were consulting a map. How much smoke is in there? I tried to remain calm. Panic wasn't going to help anyone out of this situation. For once, I didn't feel the need to puke and thanked my lucky stars for that. I was going to need all those lucky stars today. A few minutes ago, it was just a small trail of smoke. But now, from up here, at the top of the tower, I can see there are some flames. Then for good measure, I added, it's dry out there. Got it, the voice replied. We're sending a couple crews out right away. Maya, are you in the tower now? Yes. And where's Howard? Our dog got spooked by the storm, I said. He bolted. Grandpa went after him. I thought about telling the person on the other end that Grandpa had forced me to stay behind, that I wanted to help look for Bear, but he had made me sit and wait. Before I could, the voice said, I'm glad you stayed back to keep watch. It's a good thing someone was up there to spot the smoke. With conditions like these, even with today's rain, this could catch and spread really quick. Yeah, I said, I know. But now I need you to leave, said the voice. Do you know the way out? Can you hike out on your own? I know the way, I said, but I can't leave without my grandpa and Bear. Maya, listen to me. The fire is much too close to your location for you to stay put. With the direction the wind is blowing right now, it's safe for you to evacuate. But that might not be true in an hour or so. I heard what this faceless person on the other end of the radio was telling me. If I didn't leave now, I might not get out. We'll have crews out there in less than 10 minutes, Maya. They are better equipped to look for Howard and get him to safety. I'm going to call your Grandma Bee and tell her to drive out and pick you up at the bottom of the trail. We need to get you out of the line of fire, or you're no use at all to your grandpa or your dog. I looked out at the forest, at that beautiful sea of green and brown spreading out all around me. The horizon blended right into the storm-filled sky, which was still rolling in greens and purples and bruised black clouds. Facing east, I could see the flames even more clearly now. They had grown. I could easily imagine what it smelled like and sounded like down on the ground near the fire. The sharp whistle as the fire gobbled up the surrounding air. The cackle and the snap of the flames sparked dry, dead undergrowth. The whoosh of a tree getting caught up in the arms of the blaze. It wasn't nearly as close as it had been that night at home, but I wasn't foolish enough to think this fire any less dangerous. If there were a sudden shift in the wind, it could be upon me. I had to decide, stay and search for Grandpa or get out. I didn't have to think long to know what Grandpa would want me to do. Those crews needed me out of here. They couldn't focus on their job controlling the fire if I were out here willingly putting myself in harm's way. I had to go. It's not what I wanted to do, but it's what I needed to do. Maya, the voice said, are you still there? Yes, I answered, but I'm leaving now. Then I clicked the radio back into place and fled down the stairs. I didn't allow myself time for fear as I raced down those rickety steps. Somehow they didn't seem nearly as terrifying anymore. I'd made it up once. Now I knew I could survive the climb. At the base of the tower, I dashed across the bald rock face and dove into the forest. My legs burned as I jumped over roots and raced down the path I had come to know so well. It was like my muscles were working on memory, guiding me down the trail and out toward the road. But when I was about halfway down the path to where I meet Grandma Bee in her car, I heard a bark. Bear. I knew he was somewhere very close. I'd stopped to get my bearings, trying to figure out which way was which. Down here, buried inside the mess of the forest and trees, it was hard to tell which direction was north. But I felt it. But then I felt it. Fire. Just as I had felt it that night, when Amelia and I had been home alone, I felt it now. Maybe some part of me could smell it, or maybe I heard it, but I'm pretty sure there was something about the air that just felt different somehow. Something was off. It didn't feel the same as it usually did when we were coming up this path. Bear barked again. It wasn't his usual friendly greeting. This bark sounded more urgent. I could hear him clearly, just east of the trail. He wasn't far. The bark was near enough that I was pretty sure he was only a few hundred yards away from where I had stopped my descent. The fire crews would be here soon, and I was almost to the road. But a split-second decision that I knew I might regret later. I left the trail and pushed into the woods. Spindly tree limbs cut gashes into my arms and whipped at my face, and downed branches scratched my ankles and legs, but I didn't notice any of it. All I focused on was the sound of Bear's barking. His call came every 10 seconds or so, just a short yap, a repeated cry for help. I plunged through the trees, calling to him, "Bear, come!" The lightning and thunder had finally stopped, but the rain was coming down in a steady drizzle now. Though the sky was still dark from the storm, I could see clearly enough to pick a trail through the woods. "Here, boy!" Bear's cries grew closer and closer until I finally came upon him. He was soaking wet, and there were burrs stuck all over his legs and tangled up in his soft, mangy belly fur, but he didn't seem injured. He even offered me one of his giant tail-wagging hellos and a little doggy smile. "Bear," I cried, falling to my knees and pull him close. "We gotta get out of here, pal. Where's Grandpa?" He pulled away from me and then barked again. I started to turn my head back towards the main trail, but Bear just stood stock still, looking at me. And then he turned and ran farther east, deeper into the forest. Even as a hint of smoke ticked at my nose, coming from the direction Bear had run, I chased after him. Through a tightly packed grove of white pine, over a collection of fallen birch trees, heading so deep into the forest that I worried I might never find my way out again. That's when we came across Grandpa Howard. He was sitting on the ground, bleeding, with his pant leg torn from his knee to his ankle, and cursing up a storm. "Pops, what happened?" I asked. Grandpa looked up, obviously startled to see me. "Trying to keep up with that dog." I stepped funny and twisted my ankle real good. Then I sliced my leg open on a rock, and if I'm going to say in polite terms, it doesn't feel fantastic. His leg looked awful. His pant leg was all bloody, and judging by the fact that the twisted angle had taken Grandpa to the ground, I had a feeling he might have broken it. He wasn't the kind of guy who went down easily. "So much complaining for such a minor injury," I teased, holding myself out to help him up. "Do you want me to cut the leg off? Then you won't feel the cut anymore?" "Cute," he grumbled, letting me pull him to his feet. Bear's ears pricked up, and then he barked at us to get a move on. Just as he sensed the storm, I suspected Bear could sense the fire was now coming for us. "So here's the deal," I told Grandpa. Wrapping his arm around my shoulder so he could lean against me and take the weight off his bad leg. "There's a forest fire that blazed up just east of here. We're about a quarter mile from the trail. There's another half a mile or so down the road. Do you think you can make it that far if I help you?" "Do I have a choice?" he asked, wincing as he tested his bad leg. "No." I took a deep breath in, and now I realized it was almost certain that I could smell smoke. The fire was getting closer. I couldn't possibly predict exactly how much time we had before it was upon us, but I knew it wouldn't be long. I called the smoke in. The fire crew should be out here soon, and if they're not already, but I don't really want to sit here and wait, hoping for a rescue. "You called it in?" Grandpa asked, taking a few tentative steps to test how quickly he could walk now that he had me to lean on. Bear led the way, sniffing out our best path through the brush. "Yep," I said. His breathing was ragged and uneven beside me, so I decided I'd better try to keep his mind off the pain. I didn't exactly have the time to go get a look around, but you really do have a lot of Kansas spam up there in the tower. Grandpa glanced at me, and I could tell from his expression that he was proud of me for climbing up, finally. But he wasn't the kind of guy to get sentimental and mushy on me, so instead he said, "Didn't happen to bring a can of that spam with you by any chance?" His voice was gruff as he struggled to walk through the pain. "I'm starving." "Shoot," I said. "I guess I forgot the most important thing. You know, I would go back for it, but I've got this old man leaning on me, making bad jokes." "Old man," he muttered. "I'm injured, not old." We walked in silence for a while, each of us struggling to hold the other up. Just as the trail came into view ahead of us, Grandpa said, "Hey kid, thanks. I don't know how you found me, but I do know I wasn't going anywhere fast until you showed up." "Bear found you," I told him. "Good thing you kept him around this summer, huh? Maybe he deserves a bed in the house now?" "We'll see about that." Grandpa leaned on me a little more and stared down at the main trail. "But I'll tell you what, if we get out of here, I'll treat you both to a nice big dish of ice cream to say thanks for saving me. Ice cream's healthier than Spam anyway." "You've got a deal," I told him. "Then lead the way, kid."